Sports Divorce podcast. So happy to see my friend Steven. My name's Diana, Diana D'Amato, and I am your divorce doula here and elsewhere. I am a lot of things, wear a lot of hats. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a wellness expert, yoga teacher for a long time, something that I love. And I work with people in movement modalities so they are more comfortable in their bodies. And I've been expanding my my knowledge in the wellness field too, in many ways that I like to share here as well. And every week we come live here. We're live on YouTube. You can like and subscribe. Please tell your friends that we are here, and you can watch us live or recorded. And check out our Instagram at Rose Quartz Pod as well.
Peace, everyone. Hey, D. I am Stephen J. Brice. I am a liberator, entrepreneur, father, and friend. D, I am burnt out. How are you doing today?
It's interesting. What did I just do? It's interesting you say that because I have been working really hard, which is crazy to think about working hard on not being burnt out, but you really have to invest in
Mm,
it and make the time and space and make your life such that you can go do the things that support you and not feeling burnt out, because we are all fried all the time. We're all running in all different directions, and it's just, it gets really hard to sustain yourself. So I'm coming off of a couple months of dedication. I'll just quickly share with you. I've been, as I said, yoga teacher, doing yoga, meditating. That carried me for a long time. That carried me for a couple decades, where I was like, okay, I have the energy I want. I feel good. I can, keeping myself like in shape and all this stuff. And I hit a wall at like 40 where I was like, this stuff that I've been doing isn't quite having the same effects that it was having before. So I had to boost everything up. So when I was 40, I started also doing Pilates. I was also doing lots of walking, started working with weights. Of course, always keeping the things we're putting in my body in terms of food at the forefront. I eat as healthy as I can when I can, so that when I can't or I don't want to, that I don't have to feel bad about it. That's my philosophy on healthy
yeah.
eating. So I hit that wall at 40. I started doing more things, a lot more breath work in my 40s too, more quiet kind of therapies. Then I hit 50, and again, it was another wall where I was like, it's not enough. I've got to do more things. So what I've been doing is looking into services such as sauna, infrared sauna, red light therapy. Red light therapy, it penetrates into your body about 3 inches. So it works on helping the mitochondrial cells, which are the ones that are creating new cells. You're creating new cells all the time. Every 28 days, they turn over. But as you age or are stressed, that creation process can be almost like a copy machine that's making bad copies. How the
Hmm.
copies get like more and more faded after it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So something like red light therapy will make better copies, and it's just really good for you in terms of your nervous system too. That has helped me a lot. I've been doing compression and lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic drainage, I think, is the wave to get on if you're looking for something that is going to give you immediate effects and long lasting effects and is not difficult to do. Find a way to start doing lymphatic drainage. It's as simple as doing self massage that you can look up. You can go in and get professional massages. There's also this incredible plate that you can get that you stand, sit, or put your arms on, but it shakes really fast. So it helps all of the kind of accumulation of stuff, of gunk, like the body can get kind of trafficky, like everything's kind of, jammed up in there. So it loosens that all up and recirculates it so that the systems of your body can do what they're naturally meant to do. And I've also started getting NR and NAD therapy. So this is something I've been doing for about 6 months now. And at month 2.5, 3 was when I really felt the effects. So this is like a coenzyme that again goes in and helps the cells that you have and those cells that do the reproduction, like mitochondrial cells, have the resources that they need. So we stop producing a lot of these enzymes, coenzymes, as we get older. We have fewer of them to source from. So replenishing those into your body so that there is something for your cells to feed off of, essentially, when they need to make not just new cells but energy. So we may put a lot of energy in. Like I was saying, I started to notice the things I was doing weren't having the same effects that they were once having when I was younger and had more access to that stuff. They help, they literally help you be able to transform the energy you're bringing in terms of like food into energy, where without this coenzyme, there's just the food might not even translate into energy. It might just translate into that accumulation that I was talking about. Whew.
Interesting. I know that was a lot for sure, but I remember you telling me about the plate. How so? I actually bought the plate. I only used it once because it was and I was like, this is interesting. um,
How long did you stay on it? Were you like on and off, or did you do like do a full 10 minutes? Or
I did a full 10 minutes.
yes, okay.
And I was like, Diana told me to stay on this. Diana told me to stay on this. But I was like, like it was different. It was very unique. So, do you recommend someone doing that 10 minutes a day or every other day? What's your recommendation there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the responsible thing to say is to check with anyone that you're under their care, because I don't know what your comorbidities are or anything. But in general, it is non invasive and it's just actually getting, gravity is a thing. Like everything's just kind of dropping in your body. So it just moves it back up. So, it's like shoulder stand or headstand, like we do in yoga. It's like putting your legs up the wall. What that does is just reverses the flow because everything's just going downward. So when you use a little extra, like more than legs up the wall, when you're using a plate or even compression sleeves, it actually starts to recirculate that through your lymphatic system so that the natural systems of your body can start processing those fluids and accumulation, and then the body just does what it needs to do with it. But if it all drops down and it's just constantly landing in your legs and your feet, and you're getting swollen ankles, swollen knees, things like that, that just means, well, that can mean that it's not being circulated in the proper way. So
Mhm.
I do the plate as often as I can, and I'm a lazy girl in a lot of ways. So my plate is underneath my couch, and I just slide it out when I'm watching something and just put my feet on it. You don't have to stand on it or do a push up or anything. Just put your feet on it and sit there. It's easy as could be. Were you standing on it?
I was sitting on it. I was at my desk, and it
Feet
was
on
like a
it.
lot of yeah. And I
I
was
don't
like,
know about, yeah. I don't know about working while you're doing it. Yeah. That's it. Maybe like put on a little like YouTube video or something.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah. So
So
I'm coming. Go ahead.
is it a form of a workout? Like, does it, so in addition to what you just said, the benefits of it, um, do you do, yeah, is it a form of a workout indirectly?
It's maybe indirectly or a part of a workout. I know some people do stand on them and use weights and all that kind of stuff, and do push up position with their hands on it and everything. I'm not big on that. Like I said, I try to make things accessible and easy so that I'm gonna do it regularly. So I just slide that thing out from my couch when I'm watching TV. And anyone that comes over to my house can tell you, like, I force them to put their feet on it and sit there too. So give it another try, Stephen,
I'm
but
gonna do
not
it after
not at
this.
work, not when you're trying to like type and think and talk and everything.
Right, right. I'm gonna do it after this episode.
Okay, all right. I will want to report back. Oh, speaking of back, I wanted to also just go back a few episodes. We had some input from people online about a segment we did on one episode regarding divorce rings. Do you remember when we were talking about divorce rings?
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and I had, just brought it up and talked about the way I had experienced it for myself and then read about it as like getting it and putting it on the opposite hand. But in the meantime, people had chimed in, and I just wanted to give shout outs to those people who did give us some feedback on that. Like one person said that they wear it on the same finger. And they,
Mm,
it doesn't have to be on the opposite finger. It's on this. They got themselves a divorce ring. It's something they did for themselves, and they wear it on the same finger. Another person said that they didn't even think it was a good idea because it was, kind of like honoring something in the past, and it's like
mm,
let's move forward, and maybe that wasn't forward enough for that person. So I also want to acknowledge that input. I totally get that too. Like, for everybody's different, so for some
for
people it
sure.
could be like kind of a triumphant thing, and for some people it could be like a nagging reminder. And then I did want to give a shout out to my friend Shafali too, who commented, and she wrote something really beautiful about that concept of looking forward, and to maybe the way she perceived it, or maybe many people do, that it's like more of a negative thing to do that, and maybe just to move forward, focusing on the positive, and I really appreciated that input as well. So my personal experience with it was more triumphant, I think, but everybody processes these things different. And that's, part of being in this conversation with people, I think, is bringing things up, and then seeing how it lands for everybody. So just wanted to thank everyone for chiming in on that. And if anybody else has ideas about this kind of concept, maybe it's not even a ring, maybe it's something else entirely that you get for yourself. Like I know sometimes when women have babies, they get something called a push present, where
Yeah.
yeah, you heard of that too.
Yeah.
So there's all these different kind of little things that you can do or not do. So, but I'm curious what other people do. And I was also really curious if anybody is up for it, and you can do it as anonymously as possible, or send us. I'd love to see pictures of people's different divorce rings. The people who did chime in that they do have them. I'm just curious how people do it, and to give other people some ideas too.
Yeah. So in other words, we listen, we read your comments. Please reach out to us. We will respond. Please share our page with as many people as possible. And please, yeah, I will be interested in seeing. Well, one, let me first say that I appreciate the diversity of perspectives on the divorce ring, which I think is a a move to look to appreciate or to hold space for people with different perspectives on the same thing, right? Often in my sessions, whenever I am uh, whenever the conversation is centered on communication, I often say that we all are using the same language, the same words. However, we might be using them in a different way. So it's important that before we react or respond to a statement said by our partner, to ask a clarifying question. What did you mean by that? What space are you in right now? Where is this coming from? Before you react, because people oftentimes we find ourselves in what one author will call the crazy cycle, and we don't even know it, where we might be annoyed or triggered by something totally foreign to our partner, and they might just say something that might resemble or emotionally activate your emotions, and you're reacting to that, right? And then they might be dealing with something that they don't might not be associated with you, and they're firing back, and you find yourself in this crazy cycle of firing at each other, right? So yeah, please let us know how you feel about divorce rings. Does that feel good for you, to you? Does it not? And if there was a divorce present, what would that be?
Yeah, like I was just thinking maybe a trip. Maybe more
Yeah,
people do like a how Stella got her groove back kind of let's let's go somewhere, and bring some friends and do that kind of thing. People do all kinds of different things, and um, they're all great. They're all okay. We're all different. So
for sure.
yeah. So I wanted to bring us back to the topic that we started last week. And I told you when we started it, this third gate of grief, that it was going to be a big one. So that's why we did a sort of pre emptive exploration of the third gate of grief. And again, there are many gates of grief, and 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. We are here to experience them all. So, in various ways, we are going to each pass through the different gates of grief. So, the one we are talking about right now were the sorrows of the world, the
Hmm.
gate of grief, where we are experiencing, feeling, dealing with the sorrows of the world. And we spoke of many of those sorrows last week. And I wanted to sort of uh, bring it in a little more focused this week, to the sorrows that are related to our disconnection to the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this can
Hmm.
be, I think this causes many people a lot of pain and grief, actually, is that we are living in a world where we are often in boxes or online or in a vehicle or in a store. We're in boxes or working on boxes like we are right now so often that getting out of those boxes is foreign, and yet it's the most natural thing in the world for us is to be connected to the world because we are of the world. We are of the earth. We are made of all the elements that the earth is made of. And yet, in the world as we experience it for the most part right now, we are disconnected from the actual earth, from the water sources, from the animals, from the outdoors, from the plants. And I think this causes us not only a lot of grief, but sickness of other kinds as well. So I wonder, Stephen, how that lands with you. And we talked a lot about the events of the world that cause us sorrow last episode. But again, focusing in a little more on this particular thing of being disconnected from the natural world and how that causes us grief.
For me, this is something that weighs heavily on my heart in America because a lot of our natural spaces where nature exists is being torn down as a result in the name of capitalism. I remember, as I mentioned, I'm in a state of burnout, and yesterday or 2 days ago, I just left my desk and walked to the park, took my shoes off, and just allow my feet to find its roots in the grass and the dirt, and I sat by a tree and hugged it, and and asked the earth to care for me as I do my best to care for you. I think in this in such a fast paced society where one income doesn't suffice, where we have to run to the next job to make ends meet, and for some there's a third job, and there's this we find ourselves in this rat race of trying to survive, right? Trying to make ends meet, where it naturally and perhaps automatically causes us to be detached from the earth, from the world, from nature.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, unfortunately, and this might be controversial, a lot of our foods are now contaminated with, which then, as data is starting to show, is deeply connected to some of these diseases and illnesses that humans are experiencing, at least here in America. And is all that I think it is all, I suspect it is all in the name of making another dollar. So we've replaced our natural instincts and connection to the earth, to wellness, to food, to each other, right? Because the economics are priority number one, whether we like it or not, whether we can control it or not, right? As property taxes continue to rise, inflation continues to rise, it's almost as if our hands are tied behind our backs, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's what I was talking about with being trapped in boxes. Like we've built these cages for ourselves in a lot of ways. And I think we feel that grief of being disconnected, and we try to connect. Like I believe this is why people are so emotionally bonded to their pets, because they are part of the natural world. No matter how much of a person your dog is, and my dogs are people, they are part, something in you is connecting to that, like call of the wild in them, that, is like just more earthy and more, you know, in it, than we are with our supposed refinements. I think it's also why people, there's such a sort of aesthetic image around like having plants, right? Like it's a thing
Yeah,
people do online and everything. And again, I think it's the same thing. If you're drawn to plants, it's something deep down inside of you that wants to be in the natural world. And we're trying to bring it in, instead of getting out there, or maybe we don't have the way to get out there. So I think, we're calling out for those things. And even in our boxes, even online and everything, some of the most popular things are those things that seem to be bringing nature back in, or bringing food. Food videos online are some of the most viewed. And it's like people want to know how to cook it, or they want to watch someone cooking, even if they're not going to do it themselves. You want to watch somebody making something from scratch, right?
yeah,
From real food. It's great content because something deep down inside of us is craving that. So I think there's an like existential crisis where we're all grieving it, we're craving it, we're screaming out for it, and it is creating the sicknesses, illnesses, like you mentioned. And I think also creating, some of the more, like what would be in the DSM-5, like more mental illnesses as well, in terms of being detached from the beauty of food and the joy of food, and people having issues around food because we've lost our real connection to that. So,
yeah,
um, that is part of, I think, the sorrow of this particular gate, is just that we have let ourselves, what is it, Fahrenheit 451? Do you remember that book? Where it's like the information has been taken away from us, and we crave it so much, but we have become sad and, like as the book would say, ignorant of our natural selves, and that was by design.
yep, yep. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think going through a loss, a divorce, one thing that you can do is take the opportunity to reconnect to these things. Um,
Mm,
this is a gate you're going to pass through, but that gate is also open to you. It's not just a gate keeping you closed in. It's a gate that has opened to you. You can now explore what you really want. Do you want to work with animals? Do you want to get a whole bunch of plants this season, and grow some food, even if it's like herbs or something? Do you want to cook? I think it's a great opportunity to step through that gate in a powerful way coming out of
Mm.
your divorce.
For sure, for sure. I remember when I was younger, my mom will call me to the kitchen and teach me something in terms of how to cook. And she will often say, I'm teaching you how to cook so that you don't ever have to rely on a woman. And so it wasn't until I got a divorce where I stepped back into the kitchen. And I am a bona fide, proud bachelor, chef bachelor, however you want to phrase it, right? And I meal prep every week as much as I can, and if a lady is special enough, I might cook for her, and I'll caution her, and let her know that I cook as a bachelor, so to keep your keep your expectations low.
When I was a bachelor, I'll say, when I was a bachelor, I used to eat a lot of hummus, and I would call it my bachelor chow.
But to your point, I think there is. I appreciate the language of a gate of grief, right? It's a doorway, so to speak, that will lead us if you're dedicated and brave enough to go through the gate. Yeah, it's going to be hard and challenging, but it's an opportunity to discover your or reconnect your not reconnect, but to discover your connection with something that could potentially give you life, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
nature or food, cooking, whether arts and crafts, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, doing
Um,
something with your hands, doing something that is actually so natural to us, right? Rather than just holding onto that device all the time. You could have the device, like I know people are very attached to their devices, and I'm not trying to take them away, but you could like put it off and let it play and be do cooking along with it at least,
right,
or
right.
gardening along with it, or crocheting along with it. But I think you will find yourself with more time once you're divorced than you had before, and it might be weird. So so that is an opportunity to do something to reconnect to that natural world, to answer the call of the wild, as
Yeah,
i
for
as
sure,
I
for
love
sure.
to do myself. I still feel myself to be a very wild, feral human being, like
Nice, nice.
and I think it's like it's one of the things I'm most proud of. Like, people are too sleek and domesticated. That's fine, but it's not like that's not who I am. I know that about myself now, and I think like that might look really good on someone else, but it doesn't look good on me because it's not natural to me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. So go through the gates
Go through the gates.
yeah, and discover yourself.
They're open wide to you. Okay, I'm gonna put on my crazy glasses for a second because I can't see anything, and I'm gonna try to find. I wanted to share something with you. Okay,
Hmm.
I like to throw things at you. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I
let's
literally
do it.
can't see the screen. Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna get my eyes fixed someday. Everything I've been doing, nothing helps the eyes. Okay, so here's something I brought up at a dinner that I was at with my partner and another couple recently, and when I said it, the guys were just like, like they got kind of
Uh-oh.
popped up like a little rebuff, and I said, "Well, that there's also male menopause. Have you heard of this, Stephen?"
No, I have not.
You're doing the same thing. Okay, so let me just talk to you a little bit about male menopause. The term male menopause, oh, this is from the Mayo Clinic, by the way. So, I do try to bring you sources here. Hormone
Mhm.
changes related to aging in men are different from those in women. And the term male menopause has been used to describe decreasing testosterone levels related to aging. But these changes differ from what women are experiencing. So, women really go through some very quick hormonal changes, which we're starting to get help with now. And for men, it happens more slowly. So you may find some of these kind of physical differences that I won't bother you with right now, but they're different. Well, why wouldn't I say it? Okay. So you might find lower sexual desire, activity, erectile dysfunction, or decreased erections. Um, they might even have obstructive sleep apnea. Men might find an increase of obesity issues. Um, they're these things all can be treated, of course, and experts do recommend testosterone treatment to men. So I'm letting you know, guys, it's okay to ask about this. It's not, I think women are talking about menopause so much now, but guys aren't talking about it too much. So I believe it's called andropause. We're gonna have to check on that because I can't find the part in the article right now, and I don't want to leave you hanging too long. But so, what do you think about let let's talk about male menopause. How does that make you feel? You look uncomfortable.
Oh man, I've never heard of this before. I did hear about men losing or their testosterone is decreases as they get older. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's important for us to talk about. Let me
Yeah.
just say let me just say that it was just kind of cringy
You're
as you
like,
described.
oh yeah. And that's basically what these guys at this dinner did too. They're like, I'm very uncomfortable. Like, you guys can talk about that. There's, whatever's wrong with you, all you want, ladies, but us men are fine.
Right, right.
Us virile men are still virile animals. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm still there.
You're a youngin', mister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am pretty young, to be fair. I am pretty young. But I will say though that, you know, I might sound very doggish, or yeah, I might sound my words, very stereotypical as a
I
stereotypical.
got you.
You get what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Like, I'm a
Um,
dog, I'm a mutt.
oh
That puts too
man.
fine a point on it. Okay.
So
Okay.
um I I'm not as hyper excited about sex like I used to be when I was in my 20s,
When it
early
was all
30s.
hormones.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I do have just a little grain of seasoning when it comes to my desires for sex, meaning that work takes the priority over
But that's
relationships
the
and
box we've been put in. The animal in us wants to make love. What,
yeah,
absolutely. So that
for sure.
actually, that's another part of connecting to that animal self. So we talked about like the food and the plants and the animals that we have in our houses and all those kinds of things too. But I think that's really important to talk about, that like making love is part of who we are. And like if you've got yourself in some kind of situation that has created such a box that you're like, I'm going to get myself in trouble talking about this again, because my friend Nelson gave me a little head check about like, look, there are marriages that are sexless and very loving, very intimate, and I get that too. But that there is this need for us to then somewhere express that animal instinct.
For
I'll
sure.
just say,
I think so.
yeah,
I think so.
yeah. So,
Um,
you might throw axes in your backyard or something at a target, not at a person.
right, not even
At a
target.
target, yeah. You got to There has to be something, I think, in your life that like, "Arr," like gets you into that,
For sure.
reminds you, and so you do feel that call of the wild. So I just wanted to bring out male menopause because I was actually really surprised that neither of these guys had ever heard of it. So clearly, their physicians are not talking to them about it. They are of a certain age, like I am, so you would have thought it would have come up or something. It's like nobody's talking about it. So those are the kind of
Well,
kind of things I like to talk about.
well,
Because I'm
if your
feral.
partner is watching this episode, good luck to you, D, at the dinner table.
I know, right? So listen, and I wanted to say before we sign off, I'm always drinking creatine too. So I also want to tell people like get some creatine. It's actually like it's in this drink I have here right now. So you just drop it in whatever you're drinking. It's the easiest thing to replenish. There are certain things you definitely need, and I would put creatine on the list. Again, another really easy thing, Stephen. So that plate, the shaky plate, just keep it under your couch, pull it out when you sit down, get on that thing, put your feet on that thing for 10 minutes. That's it. It's so easy. Creatine, dump it. You could dump it in your coffee. I don't care, but get you some creatine, right? And just see how in a month's time how much better you're feeling. I'm going to co-sign on it big time. Okay.
Say less.
So, all right, I'll try. Like, I love that. I
No.
love that thing. Um, well, everyone, we've come to the close of another episode of the Rose Quartz Divorce Podcast. I hope that you will look for us on our website, rosequartzdivorce.com. And it's QUARTZ because I've started putting out a newsletter. It's not going to jam up your inbox. I'm making sure that they are bite size, but there's some really good stuff in there and ways to connect with us because I really want to hear from you. Like all of the comments that we get, they mean a lot to me and I take them all in. And it provides me with more things to think about. So check us out there. Check us out on our Instagram. And I'm going to thank everyone, that has supported us, including Joshua Bright, who has got this great music for us that I'm going to figure out how to use, and let you know that Stephen and I have another segment that we're working on. So, in addition to all the things that we're already doing, putting out there, we have another segment we're going to putting out. And if you get on that website and get on that newsletter, you'll be the first to get it.
Yes, and I will get me a Wi-Fi booster to our audience. It's coming soon.
Oh, yay! You'll be crispy. All right. Okay. Well, that's all we have for this week. Thank you all so much for listening and watching and chiming in. Stephen, love you so much.
Love you much. Bye, teacher.
Mwah. Let me find the stop button.